You ever find something you enjoy, but people tell you you're bad at it, but you keep doing it anyway because you love it? That's me with art. It was the only thing that relaxed me back when I was a kid. When it got really bad, I would start doodling. One day, I just decided to keep going. I realized I'd come to love drawing things. My friends laughed at me and my drawings. My art teacher was the least amused by my work, kept giving me D's and C's. One day, Miss Paula took one look at my homework and made me stand up in front of class, grabbed my painting from me and showed it to everyone. My classmates laughed. Class, didn't I ask you all to submit a still life painting for this week's project? My classmates all nodded. So, Elijah, what have you brought in today? Ham bag? My classmates laughed again. So, for still life, you've painted a ham that looks like a handbag, and you think you're so clever. Miss, you are not taking this class seriously. Your work is dumb, immature, and frankly, an insult to all your other classmates who tried hard. I don't see you passing this class at all. You might even have to repeat a grade. I couldn't help myself. I actually chuckled. It's just art class, miss. It's not that serious. At that point, my classmates were roaring with laughter, and that's how I got sent to the principal's office. Maybe I really do love art. Or maybe I just wanted to prove Miss Paula wrong. 'Cause even after that, I kept painting. Maybe a little part of me wanted to show her that her opinions couldn't stop me. Because she was wrong. My painting of the handbag wasn't pointless. I made it for my sister, who was so obsessed with designer bags she would sometimes starve herself just to be able to afford a fake one. That was the kind of art I loved to make. I didn't expect anyone to get it, but I knew what they meant. And that's all that's ever really mattered to me. My parents wanted me to become an architect or an engineer, but I wanted to study art. My dad refused me point blank. If you're not going to follow in my footsteps, then I'm not paying for your tuition. And so, as soon as I turned 18, I left home. I bounced from city to city, staying at a friend's house, until I ran out of places to go. I would sometimes go to the parks and paint people for a fee, and that earned enough for me to be able to afford a tiny room in an apartment that I shared with 5 people. Luckily, they were mostly artists, and we all became great friends. One night, while we were having a house party, my roommate's friend saw my old handbag painting and she fell in love with it. She took my number and told me to expect a call from a friend of hers. I thought it was going to be just some guy who liked weird art. I didn't expect that it would be one of the most prominent art collectors and gallerists in the city. He asked me if I had more art that was ready to be shown to the public. I brought the very best of my stuff to his gallery that very same day. He made me come back with 20 more. So I painted furiously over the next 3 months, and then he put all my work in a show. For 2 whole weeks, my work and only my work was displayed in his very popular gallery. And then he held a special soiree where he invited all of New York's most influential art critics. My girlfriend was so happy. She was so proud she told everyone she knew that I was her boyfriend. I knew I'd make it to the big leagues, and I was so thankful that one guy was about to change my life. My life did change, but not for the better. Everyone hated my work, but not because the paintings were bad, but because I was a nobody. I heard them whispering about it all night. This is weird. Who is he anyway? Some nobody. Probably paid Klaus just so he can exhibit in his gallery. I mean, don't you just find it annoying when absolute nobodies insert themselves in places they don't belong? True. He didn't even go to art school. He has no pedigree. He has no reputation. I googled him and he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. His father, get this, is an architect. No artist blood in his family at all. Ha! And it shows. The night was a bust. None of my paintings sold after the critics trashed my name. There were a few non-snooty people who wanted to buy some, but the critics even went as far as to discourage them and tell them that my art was a bad investment, that they had no value. Klaus, the owner of the gallery, was still very kind after I failed. "Hey, kid, sorry it didn't turn out like we hoped. It's just how it goes sometimes. Critics will be critics. But I hope you won't stop painting. You just had a bad day. It doesn't mean you have bad art. I would love to see whatever it is that you come up with next." I thanked Klaus and went back home with all my paintings. Except for one. I sold one. And I wish I could have seen who the brave soul was that bought it. It was the handbag painting. My girlfriend broke up with me after the show. "I thought you were going to be someone. Turns out you're just another starving artist who will never be rich. I need someone who can afford to buy me nice things, and you're not it. Goodbye forever." I fell into a deep sadness because of all the things the critics said. In my breakup, I stopped painting for a year. But then, one day, I woke up with Klaus's words in my head, and I started painting again. This time, I painted not for money, or for recognition, or to prove anyone wrong. I painted because of the pain and the failure. Everything I felt I put on the canvas. And that was what catapulted me into success. Klaus bought all my new paintings. I told him I didn't want to be known. When he displayed my new art, it was under anonymous, and everyone in the city fought over them. Some pieces even started a bidding war between 3 millionaire ladies. And the rest is history. For years, my art kept selling for higher and higher prices. I moved out of our tiny apartment and bought a massive farm that I turned into a retreat and a complex. I let my roommates live there for free. We had lots of parties and bonfires, and we all inspired each other to become the best artists we could be. My paintings started getting auctioned off for hundreds of thousands apiece, but still nobody knew the mysterious new painter. They were saying I was New York's very own Banksy. One very special evening, I went to a show that displayed some of my best work. I was walking around feeling proud of my achievements and marveling at how just a few years ago, none of my paintings sold at Klaus's show. And now, all of them have multiple bids. Some of them even had red stickers already. It was as I was looking at the paintings that 2 security guards approached me. Sir, you can't be here." I must have blinked 10 times in a second. I was so confused. "Sorry?" "You can't be here. You're going to scare the guests away." And then I realized what they meant. I was dressed in old clothes and worn shoes. My shirt was dirty and stained with paint. But before I could explain, the guard started guiding me outside. "Gentlemen, there's been a misunderstanding." "Just shut up and go back to the street where you belong." They threw me out of the gallery, and they were about to close the door when a beautiful lady stepped out of a limo and began berating the guards. "Are you kidding me? Do you not know who he is?" The guards looked at each other and then looked at me. Their faces blank. They shook their heads. "This man that you're treating with absolutely no respect is the genius behind all of these sublime works of art. Now, unhand him before I speak to your boss and tell him to fire you right this instant." The guys panicked and immediately apologized. They held the door open for us and then asked for my forgiveness again. "Thanks for saving my back there, Miss... Dahlia. I'm a big fan." She shook my hand and I smiled at her. "How do you know?" "That you made all of these? How could I forget? I was there at your very first show. I know your style to a T. The first painting I ever bought was yours." And then it dawned on me. "The handbag!" Talia giggled. "Yeah, That painting is a very special place in my walk-in closet. I'm obsessed with bags, you know. I'm just glad someone gets the joke. Dahlia was a simple person like me. She dressed in simple clothes and didn't show off. I had no idea she was a billionaire internet mogul. Dahlia bought every single one of the paintings that night. At least, those that hadn't been bought yet. She convinced me to introduce myself to the world, and when the news broke out, my paintings tripled in value. I was a fresh new artist who had no connections, no training, and no famous family name. And unlike the critics, the people loved that. I became so famous they featured me in magazines. That was when my ex started telling people she was responsible for all my great paintings. She told reporters that she was my muse. I guess she really wanted the clout. But all it took was one interview for me to say that she had never been my muse. And I even told them the story of how she broke up with me when she thought I was not going to be successful. Dahlia became my patroness. She was the first to bid on all my new works, and she provided me with support, her friendship, and the best kind of marketing an artist could hope for: word of mouth. With her help, my career soared to new heights. And as a gift on my birthday, she bought me a cottage in the middle of a forest. I used it as a studio and painted some of my best works there. That same year, Dahlia proposed to me. We got married 30,000 feet in the air in her private jet.